let's go to Diepkloof mortuary, where families of the Johannesburg fire victims have been urged to visit and identify remains of their loved ones from. Hasina Gori has been monitoring developments there, is also going to join us live to bring us the latest there. Hasina, good afternoon. Earlier on we spoke to you about families coming out to identify their loved ones. Since our last conversation, what's transpired there?
Good afternoon, Liesl. When we spoke, we were inside the Diepkloof Forensic Pathology Services. We're now back outside the services. But what you are looking at is visuals from inside, where we're seeing many of the burial services, the hearses that have begun coming into the building. They're here, we told, and we got confirmation that the first batch of those JHB fire victims are expected to be released to their families for burials later today. We were speaking to some of the families as well. We know that many of them had to go through to the embassy as well to go and get more documentation to allow for the release of the families. We know now that there's 76 people that have been confirmed dead. Of those 76, at least 62 have been burnt beyond recognition. That means that they cannot just be identified by their visual form, and that they would need to be go through a DNA testing. Many of the families that are here today have been here yesterday. They've also spoke with them at the scenes as well. Coming here, it's been a painful process. I want to ask if I can bring in one of the family of the victims, Hassan Mohammed, who we've been speaking to since Sunday. We're speaking through him through the gates. We're actually not allowed inside with our cameras, but thank you so much for speaking to us, Hassan. When we last spoke yesterday, it was outside the Hillbrow Forensic Services. You were waiting to find out whether you could find the remains of your family members, at least 6 of them, if I remember correctly. What happened today now that you're here?
Thank you. Today we try to go morning time. We go to Home Affairs, visit a Malawian embassy, but now they help us. Like now we are going to get a 9 body. The one we're going to release today, the other one, the remaining one, maybe inshallah on Monday.
So tell me, from the 9, are those your family members, your close family members, or also just from the Malawian community as well?
Yes, now like me, I got 6 people, but we find also our friend also, we got 3 people, so like we are 9, others we are like 5 families.
So your 6 family members, can you just tell us again, for those that, may not know, who were they and how old were they and how long have they been in South Africa?
So far, but now, I can't lie, like I told you yesterday, yeah, the same story I told you yesterday, even now, the same story, because now we can't change it. We are waiting here, we're just waiting to help us to release our body. When they release the body, then we take them to bury him, then maybe Monday also we come back.
And the immigration officers and the Malawian government, we know yesterday you had some problems with getting help from them. Have they been able to assist now today? Are they more helpful? Are you able to get hold of them?
Yes, Malawian members, like today now they're anywhere to gonna come, even the Malawian members lady, they're gonna come here where we are going together to bury these people. We force them to beg them to, no, please, can you help us? You can't leave us like that. So like now they understand us. We will go together until on graveyard. You're gonna come here.
How is the family coping? Your family back in Malawi, how are they doing? Hearing all this news, finding this all out.
No, I can say since we tell them they notice, they are dying, people they are crying, even now they are busy putting ashes, how far, did you bury, did you do what? So even now we can't say anything because still we didn't release a body, but now people they are still waiting there. When we finish, when we go to graveyard, also they're going to call, now we are going there. But now the people they are crying since that day.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Hassan. We've been speaking since that day, and hopefully, this is the first step for you, to get the bodies now and to rebuild, from there. Thank you so much. I want to bring in your other family member as well, who has also been, here. We spoke yesterday, and when we spoke yesterday, your one concern was that you didn't get help from the Malawian government, and the embassy wasn't getting hold of you. What's happening right now?
By the moment we spoke with them, we meet with them, then they promised us that they're coming, and they told us that they didn't know anything about the situation. They just called, so they were waiting for South African government to give them a permission so that they can come. Yeah.
How are you feeling today? How are you holding up? It's been busy, sad, tragic, few days. How are you feeling?
There's nothing changed, in this situation. We are in bad condition. As you know, we lost some family, and we also have some people who surviving. Like some we still now couldn't find them. So the situation is still.
For those that were living in that flat and that survived, how are they doing? Where are they staying right now? Do they have shelter? Is there assistance for them?
They have some assistance from South African government, but some they just run away because they scared. You know how relationship it is between South African people but some they get some assistance from us. We try to meet with them and give them what they need.
Do you know how many families from your community have been affected? Do you have like a number of how many have been affected?
No, I don't have numbers, but I have few of them that we meet. Some we meet in hospital, some we meet in mortuary, some we meet in Malawian embassy. So we are more. We are few more than maybe, I can just imagine, because the one we meet, it's just more than maybe 6 or 7 members. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was another family member here that we've been speaking to outside the Diepkloof Forensic Pathology Services, where we are waiting for that first batch of the Johannesburg fire victims' bodies to be released, and for these families to be able to then go through the burial rites. As you heard, they had some concerns yesterday. It was around the identification of those. They also said that they had not been getting any assistance from the Malawian government. But as of today, we also spoke to the forensic services, and they have told us that the Malawian government, as well as Zimbabwean and Tanzanian embassies, have been working with them. They also know that we've been told the Malawian government will be, the ambassador for South Africa will be here to assist these families that have been affected. But if I can just show you, there's also immigration officers at the South African Immigration and Home Affairs. There's a truck here that has just been brought, but we can't really show you that right now. They're blocked off, but they also, we've seen the officials here. We're told yesterday by the Minister of Home Affairs that his, the officials from his department will be present to assist those. They've also allayed fears of those foreign nationals that may not be in the country legally, that may not have the necessary documents to come forward, and they would assist. But they also said there's various different processes for them to check the legal status of a person in the country using the visa system, fingerprints that will look into databases of refugees, of asylum seeking. So they said that they will try to assist even if they do not have the physical documentations with them. They've asked family members to come through, that they will try using the various different forms. Some of these families lost all of their documentations in that fire that went through that 5-story building from the ground floor up. Really devastating hundreds of people and displacing hundreds of people. There's one of the victims that, if you can see here, he's got a bandage, on one of his arms. He's a victim that we spoke to yesterday. Abdul was one of those. His brother is Hassan that we had just spoken to, and he explained to me off air yesterday that he doesn't remember anything of what happened on Thursday morning, that he was at home asleep when it happened, and the fire broke, and all he remembers is a fire. He jumped from a 3rd floor window. This has been something we've been hearing from various families. We spoke to family members who told us that their loved ones jumped from the 3rd floor. Some survived, some ended up in hospital with burns, and a family that
All right, so we'll keep monitoring developments there. We saw now the first group of fire victims have been released.